Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. My name is Charlie Mueller. I'm the board chair of the Conservancy of Southwest Florida, and I'm pleased to call to order our 61st annual member meeting. But before we begin the business portion of this meeting, I invite President and CEO Rob Moher to the podium, and he has an important announcement for us.
Charlie. Okay, good evening, everyone. We take care of Mother Nature and she takes care of us. Wasn't it beautiful out there? What a beautiful night. Okay, and it's a beautiful day, and we're going to shed some light on that in a moment here. So I'm Rob Moher, President and CEO of the Conservancy of Southwest Florida. We thank you all for being here. This is also being live streamed on our Facebook, so to all of you out there in the virtual world, hello. We're having a great day in Naples, and we're glad you're also with us. I'd also like to thank Collier County Commissioner Dan Cowell that's with us here. Where is Commissioner Cowell? Thank you for being with us here today. We appreciate that. I know the City Council is meeting today, and they wanted to be here, but I think they're still in session. Are there any other elected officials with us here today? Okay, great. I'd also like to recognize, I know the County Manager, Amy Patterson, and City Manager, Jay Burdishar, are hoping to come by. And also just want to acknowledge, we have some of our really fantastic partners with us here. We're going to talk a bit about them in my comments a little bit later, but just want to acknowledge Naples Botanical Gardens, the Naples Zoo, Collier Community Foundation, and Rookery Bay. They're all great partners, so thanks for being here, guys. We've also got representatives from the Collier Visitors Bureau and the Greater Naples Chamber of Commerce, so welcome. The Conservancy's history is made up of successive, momentous actions taken by individuals and groups of individuals who believe in one fundamental idea: that protecting Southwest Florida's natural environment is a requirement to sustaining our quality of life. They're inseparable. From our early founders, led by Lester and Delora Norris, these community leaders had a vision for protecting lands that are essential to preserving quality of life, our water quality, and our wildlife. Saving Rookery Bay was the calling card for the founding of the Conservancy of Southwest Florida. Today, we all know and understand that Rookery Bay is a jewel of Collier County and of the state of Florida. And it represents 40% of Collier County's coastline is preserved thanks to the vision and actions of those early actors. We should never take for granted the work of those early founders who fought to protect Rookery Bay from proposed inappropriate forms of development. They saw a problem, but they also saw an opportunity. And that wasn't enough. They took action. And it's because of the actions that they took back 61 years ago that led to this incredible asset that we now have in our backyard that we all get to enjoy. The same was the case for our nature center. The Conservancy operated, some of you might know this, out of an office on Fifth Avenue above Gaddles for many years. It was Willard Merrihew, a man with a vision, a man on a mission, and a determination to establish a formal nature center to act as the front door of the Conservancy. And he made something great happen. And what a nature center was built. It was conceived as a place to educate the public, to engage school children and families in the mission of the Conservancy. And then wildlife rehabilitation was added several years later due to the lack of any facility in the area. People just started showing up with injured animals, and we said, well, I guess we better get some people on this, and that's how the wildlife part of the mission started. It started with an intern, a couple of students, and Gary Schmelz, the original director of the Big Cypress Nature Center. And again, these were momentous actions taken to achieve lasting positive impacts for our community. Bold opportunities and those who helped the Conservancy make them possible continued. With Dorothy Blair and Jeannie and Christopher Smith, they stepped up to save the upland scrub habitat that is now the front door along Goodlette Frank Road. That was all going to get developed. They stepped up and said, no, we need to save this scrub habitat. And today it's the Christopher B. Smith Preserve at the Conservancy. and it is a vital urban preserve protecting gopher tortoises and over 1,000 other forms of life in that preserve, ranging from bobcats to rare plants. So it's really important. What a legacy. Sharon and Dolph von Arx also agreed to step forward to lead the effort to build a new wildlife hospital after the original wildlife clinic was failing due to intensive use over many years. Again, an opportunity and bold action to benefit our mission was accomplished. And many others joined in on that campaign, the campaign to save Southwest Florida, which revised all aspects of our 21-acre nature center here that we now enjoy and established multiple new endowments to sustain our work, a momentous accomplishment. And so it continued at the Nature Center with the addition of this Eaton Conservation Hall, which is beautiful, and our wonderful Jeannie Meg Smith Theater, in which we're enjoying tonight, the Dalton Discovery Center, and the addition of the new John and Carol Walter Discovery Wing. Our Nature Center over those years has served as really an essential public-facing dimension of our mission work. And now it is time to share a bold and transformative next step in the Conservancy's evolution. Our work in protecting water, land, and wildlife, and our own way of life, are inextricably interlinked. If we are going to sustain and grow our success as an organization, we have to find new ways to support the mission. And tonight, we're here to share with you one of those new ways as a momentous step in our history. So just over a year ago, I began a conversation with someone I hold in the highest esteem. I was sharing with this individual and their family how the Conservancy needed more volunteers, more members. We needed to get the word out to more and more people. So many new people coming to our community. They needed to know about the work of the Conservancy and its work with its partners to sustain our quality of life. So those conversations went on, and the challenges of more pressure from growth, the push of development into the Western Everglades, the degradation of our coastal waterways, and the incessant impacts of a changing climate on the ability of our community to sustain ourselves. These are all tied together, and there's hope. How can we become more effective and expand our impact and reach? How can we become stronger, more relevant, resilient, and available to our community? How can we sustain our way of life that drew us all here in the first place? And the answer to much of this rests in making a transformation of our current Nature Center into something more, a place with more dynamic programs, experiences, and events that take place regularly to expand awareness about our environment and how to become engaged in that preservation. A place that'll be perceived in a new light, that'll appeal to a broad cross-section of our community, and for people to experience nature in so many new ways, and a place to become further informed and inspired to take action. So, with the drum roll, tonight I am thrilled and I am honored to share with you the transformation of the Nature Center thanks to a $25 million grant from the John and Carol Walter Nature Family Foundation to create the new John and Carol Walter Nature Experience at the Conservancy. All right. We are so excited, as you can tell from Gordon B. Eagle. It's been hard to keep Gordon, calm today. But let me just talk a little bit about this tremendous landmark commitment to direct the transformation of everything that we do with on-site environmental education here at the Conservancy, because it is going to really dramatically expand the way we offer our programs and can engage the public in very interactive and dynamic ways, far more than we've been able to do up till now. The John and Carol Walter Nature Experience at the Conservancy is going to seek to inspire individuals to take action and support the Conservancy's critical mission of protecting our water, land, and wildlife. So we are going to reimagine the guest experience here at the Conservancy. So picture this: hands-on traveling exhibits, interactive exhibits, cutting-edge multimedia, multi-sensory experiences that bring all those local ecosystems and the issue and the challenges to life, inspired by the beauty and the majesty of the Western Everglades, which we all live in. We are part of this Western Everglades, on the place unlike any other on Earth. And add to that new peaceful spaces where we can reflect, recharge, and renew ourselves in our commitment to make this environment sustainable. That's going to be a key part of the nature experience. We're designing family-friendly programs and activities for all ages. We're going to partner with schools, we're going to partner with artists and community organizations, and our goal is to foster a shared responsibility for taking care of this environment. And the transformation is going to include a brand new front door to the Conservancy, a whole new welcome complex, a gateway to the mission of the Conservancy. So that's going to be a fantastic new building that we're going to be able to put in there. We're also going to have a whole new solar-powered green parking garage, because we are going to rip out all the old asphalt parking and we're going to replace it with a gorgeous lake. And it is a lake with a purpose, because that will be a stormwater lake to help protect water quality. The goal here is just not to talk about conservation and the principles, is to demonstrate them. Everyone that comes here should be able to pick up things that they can do in their own backyards, in their own businesses, working with cities and counties. To all of us can help advance this challenge of water quality. So with that highlight of a description, I really want to invite our good friend and former board chair of the Conservancy, current board member, and what I have to say is a visionary philanthropist, John Walter, to the podium to make some comments on behalf of the John and Carol Walter Family Foundation.
Thank you. They purposely didn't give me a script because they wanted me to be really short, which is exactly what I'm going to do. You know, I had never seen Gordon B. Eagle before, and I'm wondering how you got Paul in that outfit, but nevertheless, that's okay. We'll leave all that alone at this particular point in time. Basically, Rob says it all and has said it all, and he's so articulate in his passion and understanding and concept of what this is. And one of the biggest motivators behind what we did is Rob, the Conservancy, the history of the Conservancy, what it means. And the most important things, and I've said it many times, is I think one of the most important organizations in this town, and there's a lot of them, and we're involved in several of them, and Carol is also, is the Conservancy, because it's so important to the way we live, our quality of life, and the quality of life we're going to have going forward. We have a very unique situation here. We have a great community, a beautiful community, which we all love, and we all want to, I think, keep it that way, or to the best of our ability, or at least have growth that's intelligent growth and planned growth. And hopefully the Conservancy, more than anything else, can help assure that. And that's why that was a big motivator for Carol and I and Lindsay and the grandchildren to leave this legacy gift in order to help preserve what we all love and care about so much. Rob said everything so well, which he does all the time. And it's a pleasure to be on the board, to serve on the board, and to be part of the organization. As I've said, as I indicated, this is one of the most important organizations in the city because of what we do and because of what we're trying to leave behind. And I hope you all share that, and hopefully other people will understand that and become more involved, more engaged in our mission and understanding the importance of our land, our water, and our wildlife. So we are just pleased. You've got an important program here. I don't want to get in the way of it. And I just want to say thank you to all. I'm grateful to everybody here. I'm grateful for what we were able to do for the Conservancy. I'm grateful for my family and children. And thank you all. So I appreciate it very, very much, okay? Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
As always, a class act. Thank you, John, for those heartfelt words. It's been an amazing journey, an amazing journey. And it's just beginning. This is just the fun part now. The real work is going to begin, and all of our supporters and contractors that are going to work on this project, a lot of them are here tonight, and so very grateful. And John, I know you speak for your family, for Carol, for Lindsay, who's here, the head of the foundation, the trustees, Noah Pettit, Scott George, and your grandchildren. It's been really fun to hang out with today. We've had some fun. And thank you for accepting our invitation to do this with us. We invited the Walter family to consider it. They said yes, and what a great combination. So thank you again. You know, if you're a nonprofit leader, you recognize that this generosity represents a new standard for philanthropic conservation leadership in Southwest Florida, in fact, across the entire state of Florida. This is really something special. And the family's commitment to environmental stewardship furthers not just what we do today, but well into the future. And let me explain what I mean by that. Not only are they gifting and allowing us to create this brand new experience, which is going to complement all the amazing things we already have here and that we have to offer the public, but they're going to ensure that this thrives for decades to come by establishing two significant endowments as part of this commitment. One endowment is going to be dedicated to ensuring that we can keep this very dynamic and fresh, so we always have new things for people to come back to. It's not a one and done situation. This will be very dynamic and ever changing. And the second endowment allows us to maintain the quality of the experience for decades to come, so we can take care of these facilities and we can pay those darn insurance bills, right? That keep going up every year, as Don and all of us that know, and Jack. These things, the bill just keeps getting higher and higher, but it's important we have a public face for our mission. And this grant, this $25 million grant, is just not a gift to the Conservancy. It really is a gift to the community. Think of all the school children, the families, and the new residents that are going to become more dialed into this is a special area, and we just can't assume someone else is going to protect it. It's going to take all of us together, and that all of us needs to grow and grow and grow. And that's what this grant is really going to do. It's essential for our future. And so the more we connect with nature, the more we're going to protect it. John and Carol and their family understand this. And we're just so grateful that this transformative commitment is coming at this time. It's a time with a lot of new people coming into our community, and now's the time to educate and engage. And with the support of our partners, we're going to get that mission done. So I'm going to turn this back over to our chair of the board, and we're going to sort of go into the annual meeting. But again, just thank you to John, Carol, and the Walter family. You guys are the best.
This is yours.
I shuffled your notes.
That's okay. I think I'm here. Yeah. And I just want to say, John and Carol, you've set an example for all of us in terms of your generosity, your kindness, and your leadership. And given the magnitude of this transformative gift, we're going to celebrate with a champagne toast immediately after this meeting out on the deck. But I want to talk a little bit about our reputation. The Conservancy's reputation as a leader in environmental stewardship for more than 60 years is a testament to its enduring commitment to protecting Southwest Florida's natural treasures. The legacy of trust and the impact we've had has allowed us to attract extraordinary supporters like John and Carol Walter and their family, who share our vision for a thriving environment. Our success is also rooted in the exceptional work of our collective finance team, including our staff, the Finance Committee, our Audit Committee, and the full board, whose dedication to transparency and accountability has resulted in the Conservancy's strong financial condition, as evidenced by many years of successful audits. Our Treasurer, Tom Watkins, will speak more about this shortly. These efforts, combined with our ongoing commitment to excellence, have led to prestigious recognition, including a 4-star rating from Charity Navigator. It's its highest rating, and a gold rating from Candid, two of the most respected nonprofit evaluation tools in the industry. Thanks to the support of our community and the dedication of our team, the Conservancy was celebrated as the best nonprofit and best tourist attraction in Naples at the Naples Community Choice Awards last year. Our signature fundraising event, Magic Under the Mangroves, was also honored as the best fundraising event in Naples. These accolades are a reflection of the passion, generosity, and hard work of everyone involved in our mission. Together, we continue to set a standard of excellence, inspiring our community to rally behind the vital work of protecting our environment for generations to come. Whether through transformative gifts, like the John and Carol Walter Family Foundation's grant, or the unwavering support of countless individuals who volunteer, advocate, and donate, our community has united around a shared vision: preserving the environment and protecting the quality of life in Southwest Florida. For decades, the Conservancy has been a leader in addressing environmental challenges, guided by evidence-based science. We have developed innovative solutions, championed policies to safeguard our natural resources, educated residents and visitors about conservation, and provided life-saving care for injured wildlife at the Von Arx Wildlife Hospital. This holistic approach reflects our steadfast dedication to preserving Southwest Florida's extraordinary environment. The trust and support we continue to receive from our community affirms their belief in the Conservancy's ability to protect our water, land, and wildlife. Together, we are building a stronger, healthier future for everyone who calls this remarkable region home. We at the Conservancy recognize the ongoing growth of Southwest Florida. We support smart growth, sustainable growth that balances the needs of all stakeholders. I do want to take a moment to celebrate the incredible dedication of our volunteers, who truly embody the spirit of the Conservancy. Every day, they bring passion, expertise, and unwavering commitment to advancing our mission, from educating visitors about the importance of conservation to supporting vital efforts at the Wildlife Hospital and lending their talents to special events and community outreach. Our volunteers are the driving force behind our impact. Their contributions extend our reach and deepen our connection with the community. On behalf of the board and staff, I express our heartfelt gratitude to every volunteer. Your generosity, energy, and devotion make an extraordinary difference, and we are deeply grateful for everything you do. I would also like to thank our donors and members. Your generous support provides the Conservancy with the resources it needs to continue its mission. Your financial support allows us to conduct groundbreaking scientific research, to advocate effectively for policies that safeguard our land, water, and wildlife, and to educate the next generation about the importance of environmental stewardship, and provide essential care for injured and displaced wildlife. This community of advocates enables the Conservancy to lead the way in addressing our region's environmental challenges. Your belief in our mission inspires action, strengthens our reach, and ensures that we have the tools, expertise, and momentum to protect the natural treasures of Southwest Florida for generations to come. Now I'm going to turn the podium to Tom Watkins, board member and treasurer, who will provide a report and share more about the financial stewardship that helps sustain these critical efforts. Tom?
Thank you, Charlie. I am very pleased to share that the Conservancy of Southwest Florida remains in very strong financial health, thanks to really two factors. The support of all of you in our community that keeps our revenue line growing, and careful control of expenses, which is a real challenge in this community. Let me show you just a couple of numbers, and I promise we won't drone on with too many financial slides. Our revenue, which comes more than 50% from contributions and donations, is now over, or will be in this fiscal year, over $12 million. Many of you will remember when this organization was probably half that size. As you'll see on the next slide, every dollar we take in is important, whether it's in membership, programs, special events, but the contributions of all of you and the entire community are really the driver of our revenue line. And that's important because, as you'll see here on our expenses, we do a lot at the Conservancy. We have 4 areas: policy, science, education, and wildlife, that are all critical, and we're proud of the fact that our devotion to each of those, our commitment, is roughly a quarter of our budget. But the real challenge comes in controlling those expenses and in being able to do all the things that the Conservancy does so well on the limited dollars that we have, because all of you know that this is not an inexpensive place to live, and the inflationary pressures, particularly on salary and wages, because everything we do is through the talented professionals of the staff, are a real challenge. So we're particularly proud of the management of the Conservancy that knows how to make wise investment decisions. Charlie mentioned about our volunteers, and us financial people like to put numbers around everything. It's important for you to know that last year there were nearly 27,000 hours volunteered by our army of volunteers across all the different things that volunteers do, and the volunteers do a wide range. Whenever I talk to a volunteer, they always say, well, I just spend a little bit of time as I have it available. That's up to a lot. Financial people like to put numbers around everything, and I have here value. You cannot calculate the value. But what we mean to say is that over $1 million of cost that the Conservancy does not have to spend is because of the 27,000 hours of all of you and the other volunteers. And if you think of an $11 or $12 million organization, roughly 10% of what we are able to spend comes because of the great organization of volunteers. So thanks to all of you that are volunteers. We appreciate it, and it means a lot. Now let me turn the evening over to our head of governance, Stefan Botti, who will give the Conservancy's governance report. I guess you're going to be
Stefan tonight.
very nice to meet you, Stefan.
Yeah, I'm giving the governance report. Stefan Botti, our committee chair, was under the weather and asked if I would pinch hit for him. So hopefully, Stefan, you're on the mend soon. But one of the first things we do at our annual meetings is, in this section, is celebrate and say thank you to members from the board who are retiring. And this evening, we have one of those board members, and we want to recognize and thank Phil Douglas as a departing member. And so, Phil, if you could please stand. Phil served 2 4-year terms, a total of 8 years on the board, and prior to that, he was a volunteer. He and his wife, Marilee, who's here tonight, were active volunteers in the Conservancy. He served on the board and championed our efforts in South Lee County, where he lived before moving back to Collier County in recent years. Phil also served on the Development Committee and was actively involved in the Environmental Affairs Committee. Thank you, Phil, for your years of service, and especially, I always felt the comments you made whenever you engaged in the meetings, you always just brought a sense of optimism and positivity, and for that, I thank you, and I think it's something that will live on in the board. So, thank you. The annual meeting is also an opportunity to welcome new board members, and we have one new board member to nominate for a 4-year term, and that is Bill Burns. And Bill, if you could stand, please. This is a first 4-year term for Bill. He and his wife, Lisa, have been supporters of the Conservancy for a number of years. Bill served on Finance Committee and is now a member of the Development Committee of the board. And then we also have 4 board members who are renewing for another term. Please stand when I read your name. Nancy Anthony, Leslie Fracon, Tom Watkins, and John Walter. So we're going to elect our new board member and renew the existing members all in a single slate. So if I could have by a show of hands, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, our board is now ready to govern for the new year. And Rob, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Pretty good pinch hitter, right? Thank you so much, Shirley. And this is too heavy to move, Phil, but we have this beautiful eagle for you with your nameplate on. I don't know if everyone can see it, but something I hope you find a special place in your home just to thank you for your service. So thanks again. It's heavy. Okay, this has been such an exciting meeting already. I mean, I don't know what I can add to it, but I'm just going to give an abbreviated, quick highlight of some critical things happening in each of our program areas because I think it's important to keep you informed. Then we're going to go and celebrate. We're going to go have champagne on the deck like everyone wants to. So I'm just going to start with a personal note. Some of you know I love music. My family loves music. It's a big part of who we are. And I was doing some history checking with my daughter the other day. She was writing an essay on Beethoven. And, you know, we came across this amazing quote, and I thought I'd start my comments with this. Just a little over 250 years ago, right, Ludwig van Beethoven was born. And what some people don't realize is his incredible appreciation of nature and how nature inspired him in all of his compositions. He was known to walk every single day through the woods, and he wrote this great quote I'll share with you. How happy I am to be able to walk among the shrubs, the woods, the grass, and the rocks. For the woods, the rocks, and the grass, and the shrubs give man the resonance he needs. And I think there's a great kernel of truth here that we need nature as much as nature needs us. And I think that's what the Conservancy and the partners of the Conservancy work with, that's what we're all about. It's like, let's remind ourselves that we need that resuscitation. We need those quiet moments. We need that time to strengthen ourselves. When the world goes a little haywire, nature is the place where we can find refuge, as it was for Beethoven. So, 2024 was quite a year. I'm not going to go through it all. You survived it. We survived it. We had a lot of storm activity on this coast, as you well know, and it was challenging. But 2025 is going to be an exciting time, I believe, for conservation work. But as always, it will come with its full plate of challenges. But that team that's back here and the ones that couldn't be here, they're up for it. I know that. They're a tough team and they're amazing. And it's a real honor for me to get to lead the Conservancy team here. So when I think back the last year, I think of perseverance, change, and resilience, right? We've all had to use those three key qualities to get through this. And these remarkable teams that I get to work with every day, they are bolstered, as we've talked about, by the volunteers, but also by our interns. And they're in a very important group. And none of our success, anything I talk about tonight or that Charlie talked about or any of us would be possible without those teams of staff, volunteers, and interns. We're all in this together. And resiliency really has been a key facet for this year. Multiple tropical storms coming up with Hurricane Milton. We had our hands full. And as usual, our teams rose to the challenge. Buttoning up facilities here on site, as well as off-site locations to minimize damage. And the Von Arx Wildlife Hospital was once again the center of our post-storm recovery. Now, some of you are aware we built a brand new shiny building called the Environmental Studies Dormitory. It's in our backfield and replaced the former Blair Dormitory, one of the other gifts that Mrs. Blair was very visionary about. But guess what? It not only housed interns this year, it housed wildlife. They love the new dormitory. In fact, I'm not sure they wanted to move back to the other building. This was a pretty nice building. But in all seriousness, when we designed the Environmental Studies Dormitory, not only did we design it for the interns that live on site here, and that's up to 36 in a year, but we also designed it to be our emergency response control in these hurricanes. And little did we know how soon we were going to depend on that. So not only did the wildlife have a safe place to ride out the storm, because this is built to the highest storm standards, but all of our ride-out team members were also in this building, safely housed. And so for all the donors that made that building possible, we thank you, and the wildlife thanks you. So we got through it, we used the building, but I want to give you an example of the work of the Von Arx Wildlife Hospital, because as you well know, they're operating 365 days a year, about 18 hours a day. And they depend on volunteers and partners and interns and staff. And I'll share just one brief story that illustrates this. So we had a bobcat that was found in Naples, suspected of being hit by a car. She had eye trauma and a fractured hip. As the Von Arx Hospital doesn't have an outdoor enclosure for carnivores, the bobcat was transferred to our partners at the Naples Zoo. How cool is that? Dr. Carlin, our new vet, was able to continue caring for the bobcat at the zoo before being able to transfer that care over to the zoo team. And they were able to keep Dr. Carlin up to speed through the remote camera system so she could monitor that bobcat's progress. And so that's just one example of one partner of how organizations can work together. So I want to give a shout out to the team from Naples Zoo. Where are they? Jack, Tim, the whole team, Marcy. They're amazing. And, we don't take that for granted. They're great neighbors, they're great friends, and we're just really grateful. And there's a lot of other collaboration that happens there. Next, we did something really cool this year. We had this Nature-Based Solutions Symposium. Never been done here before, to our knowledge. It was held in this room. And just to boil it down to a nutshell, we wanted to have a symposium that wouldn't just talk about the problems, but we identified speakers from the United States and different parts of Florida who had actually built and monitored nature-based solutions to make their communities and their coastlines more resilient in the face of all the impacts of a changing climate. So we got to hear from people from across the state of Florida, engineers, different researchers, ecologists that have actually tackled this problem. And we believe that they have solutions that can be applied here in Collier County to help us. We're going to need infrastructure like walls and gates. Yes, we're going to need some of that. But how do we balance it by using nature first, leveraging nature, and then enhancing it with other engineering systems and other built systems? We're going to need them all. We're going to need all the tools in the toolkit. And we believe this nature-based solutions where we leverage the nature we already have. The East Coast, I think, would really die for all the mangroves that we have on our coast, right? Because when a storm comes in from that Gulf of Mexico, that mangroves, those forests take the hit for us. And we have to figure out, how do we keep those forests healthy? How do we keep our community resilient? And so this was a great accomplishment. And I just want to note two of our partners that are here tonight that really made some of the work here possible. We had a great presentation from Chad Washburn, who is deeply involved in the conservation strategy work at the Naples Botanical Gardens. And Donna McGinnis is here. So Donna, thanks for being here. Great leader in our community. So what is great is they just don't sort of hoard this information of what they're designing and what they're monitoring in their gardens. They're sharing it. And so they shared at the symposium, and we're looking forward to hopefully working together, maybe in that new lake system that we've got here. And so we're going to talk about that. But also their work is also supported by another great partner, and that's the Collier Community Foundation. And I know Laura Summerlake, I think the VP of the foundation is here. Where's Laura? There she is. She is an amazing partner. Her and Eileen and the team, whenever we say, hey, can we talk about this? It's like, when do you want to meet and talk about it? We don't take that for granted, and they're funding some really great work, so we don't take it for granted. So one of the really cool things we've done, I touched on, and Charlie was involved in some of this, but this Learning Adventures bus, it's doing great things. We reached over 2,000 kids this year, but guess what? The demand for the program is outpacing our ability to fund it. So we are looking to expand that program because this is a proven model. When that 38-foot bus pulls into a schoolyard, everyone wants to be a part of it. It is cool, it is exciting, it is visual, and it teaches STEM skills. So we're teaching science, technology, engineering, and math. So we're really helping the students of Florida with this program, but we want to do a lot more with it. But we're also doing programs on the survivors programs out in the Good Fortune down in Rookery Bay and in partnership with Rookery Bay. So Jeff Carter is one of our great partners. He is helping us make that connection happen down at Rookery Bay. And then sea turtles. Let's talk about sea turtles for a minute. This is one of those iconic programs. Like, where else in the world do we have nesting sea turtles on our beaches? There's not too many places in the world that has this. This is somewhat a unique thing for Southwest Florida. And the Loggerhead Sea Turtle Program at the Conservancy that protects those nests and helps give those babies a chance to survive, it's in its 44th year. 44 years. It's one of the longest running sea turtle monitoring and protection programs in the United States and probably in the world. But you know what? Every year has its challenges. This year we had those storms, right, Kathy? We had storms come in, wipe out nests early. But Kathy put this slide together in the science team, and I thought it was a really good slide because look at the curve. It's not what happens over 1 year. It's what happens decade over decade over decade. And this sea turtle stuff, you can't stop doing it because your budget's tight for 3 years. You have got to commit to doing this for decades and decades. And that's why the endowment, the effort to grow the endowment at the Conservancy is so critical, because in a future downturn or when annual funds might not be as generous as they are today, we need to keep that endowment going so that we can keep those sea turtle researchers going. But look at that great success. 2023, 21, 19, we're heading in the right direction. So thanks for that support. That's a good news story. All right, now I get to the challenging stuff, right? We have the good news stuff. I wonder what that bear is thinking. So I won't even get into the new proposed hunt of bears. That's for another day, but stay tuned. We're pretty upset about this. But the Conservancy policy team, which is, I have to say, so ably led by Nicole Johnson and her team and Amber and all these people and Carrie, it's an amazing team. They have incredible depth of experience, and Michelle Arquette-Palermo, our Chief Programs Officer, that works with all of our programs. They're doing some amazing work. But you know, the pressure of growth and development in the Western Everglades is really ramping up. You know, when you drive across 75 and you get to Lauderdale and Weston, you'll notice there's a giant berm which says this is the edge of the Everglades, right? You can't build a condo on the other side of it because there's water in there. We don't have that hard line here in Collier County. So what does that mean for us? It means that if we're not careful, we're gonna push this development and encroach right into the Everglades. And that is a prime concern for the Conservancy of Southwest Florida. Such an example as Belmar, as the most recent example, this is being proposed 1 mile from the Florida Panther Refuge. Now think of it, the Florida Panther Refuge is a federally funded, taxpayer-funded refuge, and we have to be thinking about where do these cities and villages, where should they go? They're gonna come, and they should come, but the location is going to be critical. We want these to be in places that don't damage critical ecological infrastructure like flowways and panther habitat. And so the Conservancy is trying to shape where this growth can go so it's sustainable. The Conservancy had a huge success last year, and it was called 404. Now, I don't try and throw a lot of acronyms about, but this is one you need to know about. A 404 permit is a permit to destroy wetlands. And I won't get into my 6th grade speech about why wetlands are important, but you all know, right? 1 acre of wetland stores 1.5 million gallons of water. If those wetlands aren't there, that water's on the streets of our communities. And there's a lot of other reasons why wetlands are important. But we challenged the delegation from the federal government to the state. We were successful. But today, these 404 permits are still moving forward for developments, and they're moving forward for Belmar, for Kingston. So stay tuned. I just want you to know the Conservancy is using science and responsible advocacy to help guide where development should and should not take place. But I can tell you, Belmar and Kingston are both very problematic. And we ought to focus on towns like Ave Maria and Immokalee and Golden Gate where, you know, we've already got a footprint and those cities can be developed in a more sustainable manner. So stay tuned for more about that. And there are also efforts to delist the panther underway. Why would that happen? Well, because if you delist the panther, there's no more primary panther habitat, there's no more Endangered Species Act enforcement of that act. So you can see, you know, how you can get around these things. Congress passed the Clean Water Act and the Endangered Species Act for a reason. And we have to back those things up. It's very important. But moving into the positive, we are participating in Collier County is a really important part of the largest restoration ever attempted on the planet in human history, and that's Everglades restoration. And this is a bright spot. We are seeing terrific momentum with the state of Florida, with the governor, with the bipartisan support that we get from our delegation here in Florida. And I believe we're going to see some continued record levels of funding going into Everglades restoration, and we should all be grateful for that. So that's good news. Now, there's some parties coming up I should tell you about. Magic Under the Mangroves, our chairs are Tony and Charlie Mueller and Linda and Victor Grijalva. Will you guys just wave? They're stepping up. Whenever we ask someone to chair Magic, there was a big gulp, there's a silence, and you just got to wait. You got to wait. You got to wait for the yes to come forward. And I didn't have to wait long. Charlie and Tony are doing it for the 2nd year after John and Carol coded with them. But Victor and Linda have also stepped up. So thanks. Tickets are going fast. Come to Magic. It's a great party for a great cause. Earth Day is also coming up. A great community celebration. It's free. And so hopefully you'll be a part of that. And before I conclude here, I want to end unfortunately, a little bit of a side note. You know, we talk about our partners and how important they are. We lost someone today, very unexpectedly, a young guy who was the Calusa waterkeeper, Cody Pierce. He's just in his 30s. He was an incredible, powerful advocate for clean water up in South Lee County, and one of our great partners. He passed away very, very suddenly this morning. And so I just want to take a moment for Cody and his family, for the waterkeeper, our partners, just to say our great sympathy to them. It's hard to lose talented young people. And so we send our condolences to their family, and we know the waterkeepers are going to be strong and continue, but that's a tough blow when you lose your key person so young and so unexpected. And we thank Cody for what he did in his very short life. So, in conclusion, we are your Conservancy. We are here to make things happen, and you help us make things happen, because guess what? 90% of everything we do comes from funding from people, from philanthropy. There's very little bit that comes in from government grants. We can't exist without you. So thank you to everyone that made today possible. It's a whole team effort. I'm going to turn this back over to Charlie and our able board chairman. Thank our board for being here. And we're going to wrap up, and then we're going to go drink some champagne as the sun sets, and we're going to have fun. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Rob, for sharing our achievements in each of the program areas, some of the challenges and our opportunities. It's certainly a proud day for the Conservancy, and I want to close this meeting by thanking John and Carol Walter and the family for the truly transformative gift. I want to thank our board, who will continue to help steer the ship in the years ahead, our members, donors, and supporters here tonight for all that you do, and our dedicated and hardworking staff who live the mission every day. So that concludes the meeting. I want to remind our board, if they could please stay up here for a brief meeting in the front of the room. And everyone else, we can start to make our way to the deck, and we'll meet you out there for a champagne celebration. Meeting adjourned.